Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive.
Hey there.
Our mission, as always, is pretty straightforward. We take source material, really dig into it, and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you.
Yeah, think of us as guides, really, helping you get informed quickly without getting buried in, all the details.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're cracking open some excerpts from a real classic. It's all about success and mindset, specifically Chapter 16.
Right, the one that tackles what the book calls the 6 ghosts of fear.
And this isn't just theory, is it? The source frames these fears as, well, active enemies inside our own minds.
Very active. Things that are genuinely presented as holding us back from what we want to achieve.
So that's our job today, to
Right.
identify these adversaries, understand how they work according to this material, and figure out the strategy it gives for, moving past them.
And you might be surprised, some of these might feel pretty close to home.
Okay, so where do we start? The source mentions this unholy trio.
That's right, indecision, doubt, and fear.
And there's a specific order, a kind of process it describes.
Yeah, it lays it out almost like stages. Indecision comes first. That's the seedling, the starting point for fear.
Okay.
Then that indecision sort of hardens, or the text says crystallizes into doubt.
Crystallizes. Interesting word choice.
And then those two, indecision and doubt, they blend together, and that blend becomes fear itself.
What struck me there was how insidious it says this is. It's slow, maybe happening without you even realizing it at first.
Exactly, a slow creep. And that's a big warning.
Right. And it connects this to something else from the book, doesn't it? The sixth sense.
Yes, intuition. The source is very clear. That intuition, that inner knowing, it just can't function properly if these negatives, indecision, doubt, fear, are hanging around in your mind, even just one of them.
It's like they block the signal.
Pretty much. And that's why the book argues you have to prepare your mind before you can really use any positive philosophies effectively.
So clearing these out is step one. Foundational work.
Foundational. They get in the way of everything else.
Okay, so that brings us to the main event, the 6 basic fears.
Right. And the source suggests everyone deals with some combo of these at some point. Many people, it claims, struggle with all 6.
And it lists them in order of how common they supposedly are. Number 1.
The fear of poverty.
2, fear of criticism.
3, fear of ill health.
4, fear of losing someone's love.
5, fear of old age.
And number 6, the fear of death.
And the book's pretty insistent that any other fear you can think of is really just a variation of one or more of these 6.
But here's the powerful bit, right? The core idea.
Yeah, this is huge. Fears are nothing more than states of mind. That's the direct quote.
Nothing more than states of mind.
Okay. And if it's a state of mind...
Then it's something you can potentially control. Direct, even.
Exactly. That's the lever. It links this to the idea that, thoughts become things. You can't create something physically until you first think it. These thought impulses, whether you choose them or just kind of absorb them, they start translating into reality, even thoughts you pick up from other people.
So the big takeaway message here is that nature gave us absolute control over just one thing.
Just one, our thoughts.
And that control is the weapon, the key for mastering fear. If you let fearful thoughts run wild.
You're essentially creating a fearful reality. That's the implication.
Okay, so we know the 6 fears, we know their states of mind. Let's dive deeper into each one, their power, their symptoms. The source says you need to know your enemy, right? Name, habits, where to hit them.
Exactly. And that means some honest self-analysis is needed to see which ones might be affecting you.
So number 1, the fear of poverty, described as the most destructive, hardest to master.
Yeah. And the source speculates its origin might be this inherited tendency for humans to prey on each other economically.
Like animals prey physically, we prey financially. That's a bit dark.
It is. There's a line about humans seeming to get satisfaction from eating others financially, but the impact it describes, it's devastating.
What does it list?
Oh, it's a long list. Paralyzes reason, destroys imagination, kills self-reliance, undermines enthusiasm, discourages initiative.
Wow.
Leads to uncertainty, procrastination, wipes out enthusiasm, makes self-control impossible, ruins personality charm. It just goes on and on. Destroys ambition, clouds memory, invites failure, kills love.
It sounds like a total shutdown. Misery, unhappiness.
Complete internal and external collapse, basically. The source includes this really powerful quote from a writer, Westbrook Pegler.
Ah, yes, describing the guy down and out on the street.
That's the one. He paints this picture of the physical posture, the droop, the way the hat sits, the gaze, captures that feeling of inferiority around people who have jobs, even if the person knows they're capable, the misery of borrowing money, the aimlessness.
Envying people just being busy.
Right, and that core belief Pegler mentions that if they just had money, they'd be themselves again.
Yeah. The source does add a little note, though, that women might experience or show this fear differently than Pegler's description of men.
Good point. Now, the symptoms the source lists for this fear, they kind of cluster. There's a big one around indifference.
Indifference, meaning not caring.
Not just not caring, but an active lack of things. Lack of ambition, accepting poverty as fate, laziness, no initiative, no imagination, no enthusiasm, no self-control. It's like the fear creates total inertia.
Okay, got it. What else?
Then there's indecision. Remember, that's the seedling. This looks like letting other people make all your big choices or just being stuck, sitting on the fence.
Paralysis.
Then doubt. Making excuses for why things aren't working out. Maybe getting envious or critical of people who are succeeding.
And worry. That seems huge.
It is. Finding fault with everything, maybe overspending weirdly, neglecting how you look, frowning, nervousness, no poise, self-consciousness. The source even links it to using alcohol or drugs to escape the feeling.
Wow, okay.
Then there's overcaution. This isn't being sensible, it's being obsessed with the negative. Always talking failure, knowing all the ways things can go wrong but no plans to succeed. Just waiting, dwelling on past mistakes.
Seeing the whole, not the donut, as the source puts it.
Exactly. Great phrase, negative fixation.
And the last one sounds like the nail in the coffin.
Procrastination, yeah. Putting things off, making excuses. It ties back to the overcaution, the doubt, the worry. It's refusing responsibility, compromising instead of fighting for what you want, planning to fail instead of, burning the bridges behind you.
So it reflects weakness everywhere. Self-confidence, purpose, control.
Pretty much, it's expecting poverty and surrounding yourself with others who also expect it. The chilling part is the fear makes you act like someone resigned to being poor.
You align yourself with lack. Wow. Okay, moving on. Fear number 2, criticism.
This one, the source says, is almost universal and really bad for achievement, specifically kills initiative and discourages imagination.
That link feels important. Fear of judgment stops you from trying new things.
Absolutely. The suggested origin is similar, criticizing others to justify taking from them, like a thief bad-mouthing their victim or, negative political ads today.
The source uses fashion designers as an example.
Yeah, changing styles constantly so people feel they have to buy new stuff or risk being criticized for looking dated. It plays on that fear.
And it really emphasizes the damage criticism does, especially from parents during childhood.
Oh, definitely. Creating deep inferiority complexes. There's that sad story in the book about the friend whose mother constantly criticized him.
And he ended up in prison, just like she seemed to predict.
Yeah. And the editor's note connects this to modern ideas about subtle suggestions, how vulnerable kids are. Phrases like, "you're just like your father," can stick.
The source basically says criticism, especially in families, is handed out too freely and is harmful. It should be seen almost like a crime against a child's mind.
Right. Constructive suggestion is the way to go. Criticism breeds fear and resentment, not love.
So what are the symptoms? How does this fear of judgment show up?
Again, patterns emerge. First, self-consciousness, like nervousness, timidity, awkwardness, shifting eyes, can't hold eye contact. Then a general lack of poise, voice shaky, nervous around people, bad posture, even poor memory, probably from the anxiety.
Makes sense.
Personality weaknesses, lacking firmness, maybe charm, can't express opinions clearly, always sidestepping, agreeing with people just to agree, and the inferiority complex, which, weirdly, can show up as the opposite.
How so?
Like expressing way too much self-approval, using big words unnecessarily, imitating others, boasting, acting superior, all to cover up feeling inferior inside.
The overcompensation. Got it.
Then there's extravagance. Trying to keep up with the Joneses, spending money you don't have, likely out of fear of being judged as unsuccessful.
Yeah.
A big one. Lack of initiative. Not grabbing opportunities, afraid to speak up, no confidence, being evasive, hesitant, maybe even deceitful to avoid criticism.
And finally,
Lack of ambition, laziness, not asserting yourself, slow decisions, easily swayed, quitting easily if people oppose you. And that classic, criticizing others behind their backs but flattering them to their face. Plus suspicion, lack of tact, not taking responsibility.
so the pattern is this constant calculation of how will people see me,
Yeah.
leading to either freezing up or putting on a front.
Exactly. All external focus, crippling your internal drive.
All right, next up, the fear of ill health. origins.
Linked to heredity, but also closely tied to the fears of old age and death, especially the worry about the economic cost of getting sick.
And this is where that shocking statistic comes in.
Right. The source quotes a doctor saying something like 75% of people visiting doctors are suffering from hypochondria, imaginary illness.
75%. That really underscores the mind-body thing.
Absolutely. The source says the fear of a disease can actually produce the physical symptoms, even with no physical cause.
Like that example of telling someone they look sick 3 times.
And they start to feel sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. The editor compared it to hexes or as spells. Your belief gives it power.
So the idea is disease can start as just a negative thought from suggestion or your own fear. And worry and fear fertilize that seed.
So symptoms. Autosuggestion used negatively is a big one. Actively looking for symptoms, expecting them, maybe even enjoying talking about imaginary illnesses. Trying every fad diet or cure, constantly discussing operations or accidents.
Okay. Then hypochondria itself.
Yeah, the core issue. Excessive talk and focus on illness, always expecting it. The source argues this often needs positive thought to fix, not just physical treatment.
It can also lead to interference with exercise, right?
Yeah.
Fearing exertion might cause something.
Exactly, which can lead to being overweight, causing real health issues, vicious cycle.
The fear also creates susceptibility.
Breaks down your natural resistance, making you more vulnerable to actual diseases.
And it connects back to the fear of poverty.
Often, yeah.
Right.
Worrying about doctor bills, always preparing for sickness, even saving for burial expenses.
You also see self-coddling.
Seeking sympathy, maybe faking illness to get out of work or responsibility.
And intemperance.
Using alcohol or drugs specifically for pain relief instead of finding the root cause, which might be mental.
In the simple one. Just constantly reading about diseases and then worrying you have them.
Yeah. The theme is mental fixation on sickness, creating this loop of fear and sometimes physical response.
Total inward focus on health worries. Okay, Fourth fear, loss of love. Described as the most painful?
Potentially, yes. The source links it strongly to jealousy and neurosis.
The editor's note clarified this isn't just romantic love, right?
Correct. While the original text had theories about mate stealing, the editor stressed it affects everyone and applies to losing love from family, friends, any close bond. It's the feeling of loss that's key.
And its impact is described as a major havoc on body and mind.
More than other fears, potentially. Symptoms. Jealousy is primary.
What does that look like?
Deep suspicion of partners, friends, accusing infidelity without proof, just a general mistrust of everyone, no faith in others.
Ouch. Also fault-finding.
Yeah, constantly criticizing loved ones, associates, maybe subconsciously finding flaws in them before they can reject you.
A defense mechanism. What about gambling? That seems odd here.
The source links it to taking big financial risks, maybe thinking money can buy love or security in relationships, leading to debt, trying to impress people with gifts.
Oh, okay. Other symptoms.
More general stress things, insomnia, nervousness, but also lack of persistence, weak will, poor self-control, lack of self-reliance, bad temper. It seems to eat away at trust and security.
Driven by that core fear of being abandoned. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Fifth fear, old age.
Two main sources here, according to the book. Fear of poverty in old age and some anxiety about the afterlife, but poverty is the big one.
That, quote, poorhouse is not a pretty word, really hits that home.
It does. Other factors are fear of ill health, loss of sexuality, losing freedom and independence.
And the symptoms.
Lack of enthusiasm, visibly slowing down, getting an inferiority complex about edge, thinking you're slipping just because of your birth year. This kills initiative, makes you think you're too old for things.
Also self-consciousness of speech.
Yeah, always apologizing for being old, framing age as a negative instead of valuing the wisdom it brings.
And sometimes inappropriate dress and action.
Trying too hard to look or act young, maybe awkwardly. It's resisting aging as if it's only a decline.
A fear of the natural process itself. Okay, last one. Fear of death, called the cruelest.
By some, yes. The source points a finger, interestingly, at religious fanaticism for fueling this fear.
How so?
Doctrines of eternal punishment, fire and brimstone. It argues this paralyzes reason and creates terror, contrasting it with societies it calls heathens, who are supposedly less afraid.
It suggests education and science are helping reduce this fear.
Yeah, shining the spotlight of truth, making knowledge more widespread than in darker times.
Then it offers that physics perspective.
Right. World is time, space, energy, matter. Energy, matter can't be destroyed, only changed. Life is energy.
Therefore, life can't be destroyed. Death is just a transition.
That's the argument. Or the alternative logic. If it's not transition, it's eternal, peaceful sleep. What's scary about that? Believing either, the source claims, can wipe out the fear.
So symptoms of this fear.
Mainly, thinking more about dying than living, often linked to lacking purpose or occupation. Can affect young people too, not just the old.
Related to that, lack of burning desire for achievement or useful service.
The idea being, if you're passionately busy and engaged with life, you're too thrilled with living to worry about dying.
Other causes mentioned.
Fear of poverty, leaving loved ones broke. Fear of illness, disappointment in love, fear of insanity, and again, religious fanaticism. The antidote seems to be a full, purposeful life. Embrace the present. Okay, so the source then talks about worry and destructive thinking as a kind of disaster zone.
Right, redefining worry. A state of mind from fear caused by indecision. Slow, insidious, paralyzes reason, kills confidence and initiative.
But the key again, it can be controlled because it's based on indecision. An unsettled, indecisive mind is helpless.
That anecdote about the condemned man is powerful here.
The one facing execution, yeah. Once he accepted it, made the decision to accept his fate, he became calm, ate well. Decision brought peace, even then.
And decision can also prevent you from mentally accepting things you don't want. It's indecision that lets the 6 fears fester into worry.
Now, there's one more evil the source introduces. Number 7.
Yes. Even more subtle, maybe more fatal.
Susceptibility to negative influence. It's like fertile ground for failure. Dangerous because you often don't even notice it.
Successful people guard against it, others don't.
That's the contrast drawn. It strikes unaware, its weapon is intangible, just a state of mind. Can come from well-meaning people, friends, family, or just your own negativity.
As deadly as poison, just slower. Okay, so we've mapped the enemies. What's the escape plan?
Control, decision, willpower. That's the focus now.
Back to that core fact. Absolute control over one thing.
Your thoughts. That's it. Your only means to control your destiny, the source insists. Master your mind or you master nothing.
Your mind is your spiritual estate, needs protecting.
Yeah.
Willpower is the guard dog.
Exactly. And overcoming the specific fears, it comes down to making a specific decision for each one.
Okay, run through them. Fear of death.
Decide to accept it. Transition or sleep. Choose your peace.
Fear of old age.
Decide it's a blessing. Wisdom, understanding, not a handicap.
Fear of loss of love.
Decide you can get along without it if you must. Stop the clinging fear.
Fear of criticism.
Decide not to worry what others think, say, or do, period.
Fear of ill health.
Decide to forget symptoms, focus on wellness.
Fear of poverty.
Decide you'll manage with whatever you have without worry consuming you.
And there's that blanket decision.
Right. The ultimate worry killer. Nothing in life is worth the price of worry. Embracing that brings poise, peace, calm, happiness. That's the claim.
So willpower is the active defense against negative vibes, internal or external. Needs constant use, like a muscle.
And the most practical way to control the mind day to day.
Keep it busy, with a definite purpose, a definite plan.
Successful people aren't just busy, they direct their mental focus, relentlessly, towards clear goals.
The examples given are strong. Edison and the phonograph doubters.
Woolworth and the 5 and 10 cent store critics.
Ford pushing the automobile against all the scoffing. They controlled their minds.
That, the source says, was the real difference between someone like Ford and others stuck in jobs they disliked. Mind control.
Okay, but a key part of this is self-analysis. You have to be honest with yourself first.
Absolutely crucial. Ruthlessly honest about your fears, your weaknesses. The book has self-analysis questions for this.
Right. Suggest reading them aloud, maybe getting honest feedback from someone who knows you well.
Someone who won't just flatter you, because the alternative is alibis.
The excuses. People who don't succeed always know exactly why, right? Airtight alibis.
Yep. But the world doesn't care about alibis. It wants results. It pays for achievement, not excuses.
And we cling to them because we created them, our brainchild.
That's the idea. Human nature defends its own creations, even bad habits like making excuses.
That Plato quote fits perfectly. The first and best victory is to conquer self.
And Elbert Hubbard's point. Time spent making alibis could be spent fixing the weakness, so you wouldn't need the alibi.
So true. Okay, this brings us towards the end of the material we looked at. It ties back to getting riches, broadly defined.
And introduces the master key.
Which is?
The privilege, the ability to create in your own mind a burning desire for a definite form of riches or achievement. Not just a wish, a real fire.
And that powerful analogy wraps it up. Life as a checkerboard.
Your opponent is time. And time doesn't wait for you to make up your mind, hesitate, delay, stay indecisive.
Your pieces get wiped off the board, your chances disappear.
The stakes are huge. Don't use the master key. Don't cultivate desire. Don't fight fear with decision. And the price is failure.
But the reward for using it, for conquering yourself, directing your thoughts.
Stupendous, the source says. Forcing life to give you what you demand based on your definite purpose.
And that final, powerful reminder.
Your real wealth isn't just what you have, it's what you are.
Wow. Okay. So this deep dive, using this classic source, it's really given us a map of the internal battlefield.
Identifying those 7 enemies. Indecision, doubt, the 6 fears, and that susceptibility to negative influence.
We've seen how destructive they can be, their symptoms. But the core message is empowerment.
That absolute power over thought.
The path forward seems clear. Use willpower, use decision, choose courage, choose clarity, choose action. Focus that thought power on a burning desire.
Yeah, this gives you the intel on the obstacles and the basic strategy to overcome them.
So the challenge for you, listening, building right off this material, you have total control over your thoughts. Thought becomes reality. So what steps, like right now, will you take to really identify your deepest fears?
What decision can you make today, right now, to start conquering them? To use that control to move towards what you really want? And maybe, what alibi are you holding on to? What excuse is keeping your pieces stuck on that checkerboard while time keeps moving?
Think about what winning that game looks like for you, measured by who you're becoming. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.